Hey everyone, welcome. In a healthcare setting, every single word really matters. A tiny mistake can sometimes lead to some pretty big confusion. And that's exactly why we're going to do a quick checkup on some English grammar essentials, using examples you'll hear every single day on the ward or in the clinic. So, think of this as your quick language booster shot. We're going to focus on exactly what you need for clear, confident communication with both patients and your colleagues. Okay, ready? Let's dive right in. All right, first up, numbers. In English, you are constantly using two main types of numbers, whether you're talking about dosages, patient room numbers, or even which floor of the hospital you're on. So what's the difference? Well, it's pretty simple. Cardinal numbers answer the question, how many? As in, the patient needs 2 tablets. Ordinal numbers, on the other hand, tell us the position or the order. For example, this is the patient's second dose. You can see how getting this right is just vital for patient safety. Okay, so we've got numbers down. Now let's move on to the actual building blocks of any sentence, the different parts of speech. Understanding these is going to help you put together really clear instructions and questions. Here are the main parts of speech, with some examples you'll definitely recognize. So you've got nouns, those are things, like a hospital. Then you have verbs, which are actions, like listen. Adjectives describe the nouns, for instance, an ill patient. And finally, prepositions show us location or time, like a patient being in the clinic. Okay, let's zoom in on nouns for just a minute. To use them correctly, we really need to get a handle on two small but super important ideas, articles and plurals. First, let's talk articles. The rule for using a versus an is actually really simple. The key thing to remember isn't the letter itself, but the sound. If a noun starts with a vowel sound, A-E-I-O-U, we use an. And here are two perfect examples to show you what I mean. We say a medical center because medical starts with a consonant sound. But we say an emergency department because emergency starts with that E vowel sound. See? Simple. Next up, plurals. So what happens when we're talking about more than one thing? Well, the good news is that making nouns plural is usually pretty simple in English. For most words, you just tack an S on the end. For example, one doctor becomes multiple doctors. One operating theater becomes 2 theaters. And laboratory becomes laboratories. It's a really small change, but it has a huge impact on the meaning. Okay, so here's a crucial point. Knowing when to use a or an versus when to use the. You use a or an for a general thing, like, please pass me a syringe. Any syringe will do. But you use the for a specific one. Please pass me the syringe on the tray. That precision can prevent some really dangerous mistakes. All right, now let's look at what is probably the most common and important verb in all of English, to be. It's absolutely essential for describing patients, conditions, and situations as accurately as possible. So the verb be comes in 2 forms. You can use the long form, like he is a doctor, or you can use the much more common short form you hear in conversations, he's a doctor. Honestly, in everyday speech, you're almost always going to hear these short forms. Knowing how to use be is fantastic for making statements, but it's also the key to asking simple yes or no questions, which, as you know, is a vital skill for assessing a patient or just confirming information. So how do we actually do it? How do we take a statement and just flip it into a really clear question using is or are? Well, the formula is super simple. It's just 3 steps. Step 1, you start with the verb, so is or are. Step 2, you add the subject. And step 3, you add the rest of the information. Let's see how that looks in action. Okay, check out how this pattern works. We start with the verb is, then the subject, High Street Hospital, and then the extra info, a name. And the answer is a simple, yes, it is. Or look at the second one. Are they nurses? No, they aren't. It's just a really clean, direct way to get information fast. Okay, wow, we've covered numbers, word types, nouns, and the verb be. So for our final section, let's put all of these pieces of the puzzle together and build some clear, professional sentences. The standard sentence structure in English is subject, followed by a verb, and then any extra information. For example, the health industry, that's our subject, that's the verb, interesting, extra info. This basic structure is really the foundation of clear communication. But, and this is a big one, there is one absolutely crucial rule you have to remember. The subject and the verb must agree. A singular subject needs a singular verb, and a plural subject needs a plural verb. They have to match. Just look at this comparison. It makes it so clear. When the subject is singular, the owner, the verb is singular, is. But when that subject becomes plural, the owners, the verb has to become plural too, are. This little detail is so key to sounding fluent and making sure you're understood correctly. So let's wrap it all up. If you can remember this one basic formula, subject plus a matching verb plus your information, you'll be able to create endless, clear, and accurate sentences in English. And that is our grammar checkup complete. So I'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. Using these simple rules we just went over, what's one new sentence you can create right now to describe your job or your workplace? You know, the best way to learn is to practice.